Om Swastiastu. Hello everyone, welcome back with me. Now I will continue to read this book, What I Think About When I'm on My Own. The Inner Artist. Say you always complain that you are much too busy, that you have way too much work to do, and that you don't have time to do anything else, let alone have fun. Well, now that you are alone and for one reason or another, you're forced to stay home with more time in your hand and then you know what to do with. This is your chance to tap into your inner creativity and revive once more than artist that lies within each of us, but whom we have long abandoned as we grow up and join the world of mediocre adults. We can get to know again that little child who loved nothing more than to express herself in any possible way she could, whether singing at the top of her voice without worrying whether she could hit her notes or sang out of tune, playing a guitar or banging pots and pans to her heart content as she listened to her favorite music, or grabbing color pencils and paint in order to fill the blank page of her sketchbook with image only she could grasp. There is nothing more satisfying, after all, than the ability to truly express yourself, especially without the fear of criticism or made fun of. Growing up, we learn to be a lot of self-conscious and to put more value in the judgment of others than in what we ourselves find enjoyable. So that discovering that our drawings, our writings, our singing, our piano playing, and so on are now here near as good as a lot of other people's, we willingly give them up and put them away as childishness. After all, unless you want to be a famous singer or a celebrated artist whose work fetches a lot of money, why bother? It's just a waste of time. But, as somebody says, time that you spend having fun is never time wasted. On the contrary, having fun and enjoying yourself is the best way to spend your time. Time where you can truly express yourself and be your authentic self. It's always a wholesome one and an opportunity to fully integrate yourself in mind, body, and spirit. Alone, in the privacy of your room, or in the shower, open your lungs and sing out the songs that you have kept locked up in your breast for fear of embracing yourself, and set them free. Feel your body vibrate and revibrate as the release of passion and energy bring you out of yourself, overwhelming you, resetting your being like a musical instrument being turned or a computer rebooted. And you will find that the singer is still there inside you, a little shy and rusty perhaps, but alive and kicking and wanting to be heard. In a corner of your room, set up an easel, put on an old shirt, and lay out the color paints, charcoal pencil, and brushes on the table beside you, and have your blank sheet of paper or canvas ready in front of you. This was a ritual that once upon a time, when you were young and time was made for drawing and making pictures, would fill you with excitement and anticipation. Because this was the beginning of a magic moment when you can create something from nothing. When from a blank canvas, you can conjure up whether it is that your hand and wild imagination put together. Or you simply look around the room and see what objects catch your eye. Perhaps a vase of flowers by the window with some of the petals burnished by the sunlight falling on them, while others lie in the shade, the colors blending in with the shadow. And you put the play of light and dark on the white seat in front of you and see how the ordinary face of flowers, a fleeting thing, become immortalized on a canvas. In that moment of intent, the image entering yourself and given a new life by the movement of your hand holding a crayon, pencil, or paintbrush, you are you are in the act of creating a work of art. You become an artist. And you do this not for others to praise and appreciate, but because you can, but because you can, and it fills you with a sense of enjoyment and satisfaction. Perhaps there is musical instrument tucked away in the back of the cupboard that is long forgotten, or a dusty piano somewhere in the house that is rarely touched and has become a shelf of knickknacks and ornaments. In your solitude, what better time to be reacquainted with it? To hear once more its tinkling sound even though you have to coax it with your stiff fingers. And you remember those piano lessons you took but you hated because you didn't like the piano teacher, and now you wish you had been a better student. But there you are, sitting at the stool, peering at the musical notes on the sheet music in front of you, trying to recall once more what case those symbols represent. And after a while, those tedious lessons come back to you and you find your fingers moving along the ivory, despite your hesitation and awareness. Every day you revisit those ivory case and familiarize yourself with the squiggles on the music book. And and before long, you find yourself at one with the sound, lost in the music that your hand, your eyes, and your entire body has created. All this you can do by yourself, without fear, without judgment, but only with the joy of being able to express yourself with your most authentic being. Learning new skills. There was a time in human history when professions were directly linked with a mastery in a particular skill. So much so that in many countries people had names that reflected their occupation. For example, carpenter, for someone in, in the woodwork profession; smith, for someone whose profession was fashioning tools from metals. There's also cook, baker, hunter, fisher, bishop, tailor, mason, and so on. Names that relate to the occupation the original possessors of this name had. And these names too, they passed on to their sons, who were expected to learn their father's skills, first as an apprentice, and then work their way up toward mastery. These craftsmen were exceptionally skilled at what they did and only produced the highest quality work. If you wanted to eat the best bread, you go to a baker. If you need a pair of shoes, you procure them from a shoemaker, not a smith. You go to a smith for your new plow or shovel. Unfortunately, when factories were built to manufacture these things, the art of creating and producing them became obsolete, and with it, the lifelong skills that were once a source of pride and joy to the community. In its place, people end up learning and doing things that didn't have much connection with the end product. Of course, they'll learn useful things such as reading and counting, but that's probably so they could read the instructions on the wall of the factories and count how many hours they have worked cutting, sorting, and putting parts together to manufacture a great number of objects. In a clothing factory, for example, one person would spend the entire day cutting a piece of fabric for the sleeves, another would sew the seams, another the buttons, somebody else the zippers, to create 100 or 1,000 shirts that none of them will have any pride in. Because at the end of the day, they work not to make shirts, but to earn a wage from their labor. Nowadays, we learn all sorts of things at school like history, science, sociology, and geography, and so on. And yet, after so many years of education, when we graduate, it is hardly likely that we will become good at practical skills that we need in our daily life, such as how to iron a shirt, peel the pineapple, or how not to spend more than what we earn. And the memory we have to learning and being at school is really a happy one of useful creativity, but one of tedium consisting of a lot of memorizing and tests on things that nobody outside the world of school will ever be interested in. Even when we are successful and earn a lot of money, we can go through life without any idea of how to cook the food that we eat, make the clothes that we wear, change the light bulb, or assemble a bookshelf. For that, there are special vocational schools we can attend where we learn how to create and make things so that we could become expert, whether in building things, fixing things, cooking things, and coming up with high quality objects. These are the people we turn to for help when it comes to fixing the leak of the bathroom and admire when they create wonderful dishes for the enjoyment of our plate. As for the work we do, if it doesn't entail us actually producing and recreating something with our hands, but rather a series of dreary meetings, memos, endless brainstorming, and strategizing that end up with somebody else making the important decision or taking credit for the result, the changes are that we too are not really honing our skills and producing things that we feel proud of, that we are only working to make money. Money that hopefully we can use to go on holiday so we could get away from our work.